All right, good afternoon, everyone. And in the previous two videos, I had completed the first and the second part of the seventh chapter from your text, First Flight. And the name of the chapter was Glimpses of India. And we completed the first part, that is a baker from Goa, and the second part, subtitled Cook. And now we come to the third and final installment of this seventh chapter, Glimpses of India, and the name of the subtopic is Tea from Assam. All right. In the first part, we learned about Goa. In the second, we learned about Coorg, and now we learn about Assam. So before we get into the story, there's a brief synopsis or a general idea of what you can expect in the story ahead. Pranjal, a youngster from Assam, is Rajveer's classmate at school in Delhi. Pranjal's father is the manager of a tea garden in Upper Assam, and Pranjal has invited Rajveer to visit his home during the summer vacation. So, in this part, we learn about Assam through the eyes of two students, all right? One is from Assam and the other is from Delhi. The one from Assam is Pranjal, and her father is the manager of a tea garden in Assam. And Pranjal has been studying in Delhi, and his classmate Rajveer has been invited to visit him or to visit Assam and the tea state during the summer vacations. So what transpires between the vacation is what we'll be reading about. So following the text now. Chai garam, garam chai, a vendor called out in a high-pitched voice. He came up to the window and asked, Chai, sahab? Give us 2 cups, Pranjal said. They sipped the steaming hot liquid. Almost everyone in the compartment was drinking tea too. Do you know that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? Rajveer said. Phew, exclaimed Pranjal. Tea really is very popular. The train pulled out of the station. Pranjal buried his nose in his detective book again. Rajveer too was an ardent fan of detective stories. But at the moment, he was keener on looking at the beautiful scenery. It was green, green everywhere. Rajveer had never seen so much greenery before. Then the soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. So, during the journey towards Assam, they were traveling in a train, and the story itself begins with the tea seller selling tea inside the train, all right? And even if you have traveled by train, you know how we see a lot of tea vendors or tea sellers, tea vendors in the platform and tea sellers inside the train itself carrying a kettle of tea and selling it cup-wise, because tea in our country is a very popular drink. And on this, Rajveer, who is from Delhi, he makes a comment as well. He says, do you know that around 80 crore cups of tea are consumed every day throughout the world? And Pranjal was, tea really is very popular, all right? And so now the train started moving again, and Pranjal buried his nose in his detective book. And even Rajveer too was an ardent fan of detective books, but he wasn't interested in books at that point of time. He was more interested in the scenery that was outside. Lots of greenery, all right, lots of plant life was being seen. And he wasn't used to it because he's from Delhi. Pranjal, on the other hand, he is from Assam. So that sight is nothing new to him. That is why he's engrossed in his book. Rajveer, being from Delhi, is not used to that. He is used to being surrounded by concrete buildings all around him. So seeing such open spaces, greenery, it amazes him, all right? He finds the view very beautiful and he is concentrating on the view outside. It was a magnificent view. Against the backdrop of densely wooded hill, a sea of tea bushes stretched as far as the eye could see. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants were tall, sturdy shade trees, and amidst the elderly rows of bushes, busily moved doll-like figures. In the distance was an ugly building with smoke billowing out of tall chimneys. Hey, a tea garden! Rajvi cried excitedly. Pranjal, who had been born and brought up at plantation, didn't share Rajvi's excitement. Oh, this is tea country now, he said. Assam has the largest concentration of plantations in the world. You will see enough gardens to last you a lifetime. I've been reading as much as I could about tea, Rajvi said. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. So, as they were traveling, Rajveer is looking at the scenery outside. He can see rows upon rows of tea tea estate, all right. Along the tea estate, he could see rows and rows of tea bushes all along, and it looked like small dolls to him, all right. And then finally, after a very long time, he saw a very ugly looking building out of which a lot of smoke was being blown out of through tall chimneys. And Rajveer was very excited. He cried out, "Hey, look, a tea garden!" And obviously, Pranjal does not share his excitement because he was born in a tea plantation. His father was a tea estate manager. So ever since childhood, he is used to looking at tea gardens, all right? And he says, yeah, Assam is the largest concentration of tea plantations in the world. You will see enough tea gardens to last you a lifetime. And Rajveer, even though he has not seen tea plantations before, even though he has been born and brought up in Delhi, he seems to have a lot of knowledge regarding tea, all right? He has read a lot about it. He says, isn't it amazing that no one knows who actually discovered tea? But then there are many legends to it, all right? There are stories claiming that tea was discovered in such and such a manner. And Pranjal was unaware of it. He says, what legends? And Rajveer answers, well, there's the one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. One day, a few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water, giving it a delicious flavor. It was said they were tea leaves. Tell me another, scoffed Pranjal. We have an Indian legend too. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditations. The 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids. The leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. So, there were two legends which Rajvi shared with Pranjal. The first one consisted of a story about a Chinese emperor who used to drink boiled water every day, all right? And one day as his water was being boiled, some leaves fell inside it, all right? And those were tea leaves. And that made the water very delicious to him. And that is the claim that how tea was discovered. And Pranjal wasn't as impressed, and he scoffed and he said, tell me another one. And then Rajveer tells him another legend wherein he talks about an Indian story behind the discovery of tea, or rather the creation of tea. In this, he talks about Bodhidharma, all right, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, a scholar, all right. What had he done was he had cut off his eyelids. Why? Because when he was meditating, he used to feel sleepy. So that disturbed his meditation a lot. So he cut off his eyelids and threw them. And where he threw the eyelids, there grew 10 tea plants. And that is why it is said that when you are very tired, when you are very sleepy, if you drink a hot cup of tea, you will be wide awake. All right, that is a Indian legend. Tea was first drunk in China, Rajveer added, as far as 2700 BC. In fact, words such as tea, chai, and chini are from Chinese. Tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was drunk more as medicine than as a beverage. So Rajiv seems to have all the know-how about tea, all right? He makes a claim, or rather, he makes a statement that tea was first drunk in China as far as 2,700 years before Christ. In fact, words such as tea, chai, chini, all those things came from Chinese origin as well. And tea only came to the European continent during the 16th century. And even then, the Europeans used to drink tea for its medicinal properties and not as a beverage. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. The boys collected their luggage and pushed their way to the crowded platform. So they finally reached Mariani Junction, where they got down, got hold of their luggage, and came out onto the crowded platform. Pranjal's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards Dhekia Bari, the tea garden managed by Pranjal's father. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. They crossed a cattle bridge and entered Dhekia Bari Tea Estate. On both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all neatly pruned to the same height. Group of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. So from the station, they met Pranjal's parents who had come to get them, and then they got inside the car and they made their drive towards Dhekia Bari Tea Estate, because that is the estate where Pranjal's father was the manager of. And as they entered the estate, they could see acres upon acres of tea bushes which were pruned to the same height. Pruned means cut off at the uniform height, all right? And they could even see tea plantation workers with bamboo baskets, which we locally call doko, wearing plastic aprons, and they were plucking at the newly sprouted leaves, all right? They only pick the newly sprouted leaves, young leaves, to make tea out of. Pranjal's father slowed down to allow a tractor pulling a trailer load of tea to pass. This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Rajveer said. It lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. You seem to have done your homework before coming, Pranjal's father said in surprise. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajveer admitted. But I hope to learn much more while I am here. So, as they were entering the estate, the car that was being driven by Pranjal's father, it stopped at the place to let the tractor pass by, and the tractor had a carriage of tea leaves, and Rajveer commented on it. And he said, this is the second flush, isn't it? It lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. So like I said before, Rajveer had done a lot of homework. He was genuinely interested to learn about tea, and he had a lot of knowledge from books as well. And even Pranjal's father was surprised. He said, oh, you seem to have done your homework before, Pranjal's father said in a surprise. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajveer admitted, but I hope to learn much more while I am here. And with this story comes to an end, and this completes the chapter, the 7th chapter, Glimpses of India as well. The part 1, we learned about Goa, part 2, Coorg, and the part 3, we learned about tea from Assam. And you may very well make out from the stories itself that it ends abruptly. Most probably it's an excerpt from a bigger text, all right, which has many more parts of the story as in. But for you, as for your class standard, this is just an introduction to new places, or not new places, but 3 different places of our country, India, and how it differs from one another and what is the speciality of that place. First part was bakery, having the Portuguese influence. Second part was about descendants from Arabs and Greeks, all right, in Coorg, which had coffee as its main cash crop. And in the third part, we talk about tea from Assam, which is self-explanatory in itself, that the most mostly planted cash crop was tea. And with this, we complete the 7th chapter. And obviously, coming to the exercises, page 92, not page 92, sorry, it's page 96, wherein there are several exercises given. The first being, use the words appropriately in the sentences below. You may consult a dictionary as well. Look at so all these things are from the grammar portions, all right? So for the grammar portions and for the writing portions, I'll be taking a separate class altogether. And for now, what I want you to do is read the chapter, read along as I'm reading the text, find the difficult words, underline it, try to find the meanings as well, and I'll follow it up with a few questions of my own in our WhatsApp group page, which you can attempt on your own. And obviously, if you find any difficulties in answering the questions, then you can reach out to me via call or text as well. So for now, please go through the text, read very carefully, do what is being told, and any problem comes up, please let me know. And following this video, I'll be uploading summaries for all the 3 parts of the chapter, along with questions for the third part. All right, the first and second part I've given you questions already, so for the third part I'll be uploading questions very soon as well, so please do attempt that. All right, and tomorrow we'll begin with a new chapter. So till then, take care.